Hello and welcome to Arceus. Now I have put myself in the center of the board, which would hold the throne for Heroes of Arceus. If you guys look at it right there. And this board itself holds a lot of rewards coming by chess or just a lot of points of interest. Very important for strategic gameplay. But what we are going to be focusing on today is not the board itself, and not a lot of the gameplay. We're going to be looking at the components and what makes up Heroes of Arceus. We might even get into a little bit of a mock battle with a few units moving around, throwing some damage down onto the board, and maybe see some of these heroes, at least one, in action. Before we go on though, let me just take this time to thank you guys for giving me some of your time, lending me your eyes and ears to showcase a little bit of what Heroes of Arceus has to bring to the tabletop miniature strategy board games. And with that said, let's jump right in and head over to the tabletop view. All right, let's take a look at some of those key components, and why not get started with one of the heroes himself. This is Arceus. He was named after the planet they are all contending for, and he is one of 8 heroes. There is a total of 4 different factions, so 2 heroes per faction. The next thing we're going to look at are some of the cards you'll find in Heroes of Arceus. This particular card right here is a hero card. It will show you a picture of your hero, the name of that hero, the faction they belong to, the HP, the move, and what they are equipped with. Arceus himself brings into battle a sword and a spear. It will also show you the stats that will be displayed on their attack and defense spinner. Arceus himself hits for 2 45% of the time, 3 30% of the time, and has a 25% chance to miss, with a 20% chance to block, 10% chance to counter, and 70% chance to get hit on its defensive side. All heroes come with an ultimate ability. Some heroes come with a variant like Arceus himself, an A or a B. You are only able to use one ultimate ability during the duration of an entire match, so be careful when you use so. Now, all heroes as well come with an ability. This is an ability that is going to have either a wait time, uses, and cooldown. Arceus himself has a wait of 4 turns before he's able to use one of the 2 uses to his ability, and he has 0 cooldown after each use. Like I said, all heroes come with different wait times, different uses, and different cooldowns. At the bottom of your hero card, you will find your end turn captures. That is just a neat little chart to keep track of what you are conquering, what you are capturing. There's different points of interest out on the battlefield. So now let's move on to the Heroes of Arceus Infantry Melee Stat Sheet. So this is what is going to show you the information displayed on the spinner for these units. Now all 3 units are on one spinner, as we will see when we take a look at the spinners. But let's break it down. Arceus implements a time-tested rock, paper, scissors style of combat where sword beats axe, axe beats spear, spear beats sword. And if you look, each individual unit is unique in its own right with a different cost of deployment. Let's break one down. The sword unit has an HP of 3 with a move of 3, 50% chance to hit for 1, 30% chance to hit for 2, 20% chance to miss, and a cost of 1 to bring out into the battle. Now all 3 units share a collective defense, as we will see more in their spinner. Let's move on to the other 2 units you can find out on the battlefield, which is the Heroes of Arceus Infantry Range units. You have a short bow as well as a long bow, their own specific percentages, and a collective defense, as well as a big difference in range for the short bow, 2 to 3 spaces, and the long bow, 2 to 5 spaces. So now let's move on to the spinners. This right here is the spinner for the infantry melee units. You will find all 3 units, the sword, the axe, and the spear. And I do apologize, my 2-year-old got a hold of this guy, and it is a prototype, so it is okay. And he took a couple of nibbles out of it. But on this spinner, you will find, again, the sword, the axe, the spear, how much they hit for, and a collective defense for those units in the center. And if you flip it over, you will find on the backside a separate spinner for the short bow, what the short bow is able to hit for, the long bow, and a collective miss and defense for both units. Very simple, might look confusing at first, but very easy. Once you get to spinning and you see, let's say pretend this was a sword swing, we would have hit for 1. So very easy, very simple. This is a 6-inch spinner currently, but the original spinner for the game will be designed as a 5-inch spinner, so just a little bit smaller. And let's move on to a hero spinner. These are going to be 3-inch spinners individually personalized for the heroes, the individual heroes. So Arceus himself hits for 2, 3, or misses, and on the flip side, we'll have his defense, a 20% chance to block and a 10% chance to counter. If you land on counter, the amount of damage you would be receiving, take 1 off and give that back to your opponent. So that is pretty neat there. And the spinner itself depicts the standard damage. Now, according to the weapon triangle, Arceus has a sword and a spear, so he has favorable matchups, implementing a +1 damage. So these could potentially be 3 or 4 damage. And the last spinner we're going to be showing, which is the last spinner in the game, pretty simple. 1 spinner for all 5 infantry units. It is double-sided. Each hero on the field will have their own spinner, and then this will be on the field as well for you to use. It depicts the large and small treasure chests. Once you capture a treasure chest, which there is plenty of treasure out in the world of Arceus, you'll be able to take a spin at this and receive the according card from the deck of cards, which we will go over next. Here we are. So you will get a +1, add a +1 to any unit's max move for the next 3 turns, usable only once. You have a very powerful respin, either an attack or defense spin. Play at any time after a spin you wish to retry, only usable once. Some damage boost, and as well as some permanent boost to either your hero's abilities or some units' movements. Now, the last thing we're going to be going over before we jump into a brief overview is a damage counter. Now, this is a 2-sided damage counter. You have yellow on one side indicating 1 damage, and red on the other side indicating 2 damage. With most of the units having below 5 HP, you will only ever need 1 to maybe 2 damage counters down. And you guys will see how we place these down here in a bit. All right, so now that we got most of the components out of the way and some of the key features, we will jump right into a team deathmatch style. So this is a 2-player aspect of the game played on 1/3 of the map. You are giving 8 deployment points to spend how you see fit. For Arceus, I chose 2 spear units for 3 deployment points each, giving me a total of 6, and 2 sword units for 1 deployment point each, giving me my total of 8 deployment points. My opponent on the other side spent 8 deployment points as well, but as you can see, his army is very different, and that is one of the beauties to Heroes of Arceus. Depending on the playstyle of the particular person you're playing, an army tailored to a specific hero, or an army with an objective in mind, it is going to be a different battle every single time. So let's do a little bit of the movement. Now, every unit has its own movement. Spear units move 2. Arceus himself has 3. And the sword units as well have 3. Now, every turn, you're able to move any, all, or none up to their max or as much as none. So it is up to you. Now, let's fast forward and get into some combat. All right, and as we see, the battle is well underway as we fast forward. Now, Arceus has positioned the unit to capture a treasure chest, as well as capture a campfire, and that is all being tracked on the hero's end turn capture card, as well as position the unit to hold the rapid deployment wagon, granting his army access to the rapid deployment zone, bringing in troops about 3 turns faster into battle than using the standard deployment zone. Now, the last 2 units to move are a spear unit and Arceus himself. So let's go ahead and do our last 2 moves of the turn. First, we will move our spear unit 2, and we will attack the sword unit. And if you remember, so if we take a look at our infantry spinner, we'll go ahead and give it a spin to see what we are hitting for with that spear. We have a chance to hit for 1, 2, or 3. We landed on 2. So this gives us a chance actually to showcase our weapon triangle. Spear is strong against sword, granting us a +1 damage, making it 3 damage. This sword has a total HP of 3, so unless it is able to defend, it is knocked. In Heroes of Arceus, favorable matchups are key. That is the difference between having to attack a unit with 2 different units or being able to potentially land a 1-hit knock. So now we will spin for that sword unit, which would have been our opponent spinning to see if it lands. So our opponent would have went ahead and spun. There it is, a hit. So this unit would have been out. The last unit to move would be Arceus himself. Now Arceus has a move of 3, and to showcase Arceus, we are going to be using one of his abilities. Now this archer is very important to our opponent because he is currently holding the archer tower, granting this unit a +2 to his range, letting him attack up to 5 away. So we have to get rid of that archer this turn. That is when we would choose to use our ultimate. So the ultimate I am choosing to use is Ultimate 8. Train to kill Arceus gains +2 this turn on a landed hit. The reason why that is important is, if we take a look at his spinner, Arceus has a 45% chance to hit for 2, 30% chance to hit for 3. Now that particular unit has 3 HP, so we would only have a 30% chance to get the knock with 1 hit. Granting him his ultimate, giving him +2, this will now do 4 and this 5, giving it a 75% chance to land on a hit. So let's go ahead and spin it and see if our ultimate was successful. Perfect. It is actually on the 2. So we will go ahead and call that 4 damage. Now, this unit still has a chance to defend. So if we flip over our infantry melee to our infantry range, the defense for that range unit is inside, an 85% chance to be hit with a 15% chance to dodge. So let's go ahead and give it a spin. And that unit was hit. So Arceus, up to this point, has been successful on the battlefield. And before we end it, let's put some damage down on the board so you guys can see what putting damage down looks like and how we keep track of damage on these specific units out. So with Arceus having exhausted all of his units, it would have now been our opponent's turn. Let's go ahead and move him forward. 1, 2, and he will be attacking this spear unit. So this is not a favorable matchup, so the damage will stick as it lands. Let's go ahead and look at our infantry spinner again, but this time we are spinning for the sword unit, which happened to land on 1. So the spear now has a chance to defend, either block, dodge, or counter. We go ahead and spin that. And it is a hit. Perfect. The damage counter, if you guys remember, yellow is 1 and red is 2. This particular unit took 1 damage. So that is why the yellow is faced up. Now we know clear as day that that particular unit has 1 damage on it. And we are able to stack it. So if he were moved up to 2 damage, if he was hit again, we would just flip it. And if he acquires any more damage, we can then stack it. So now he's got a red counter on the bottom for 2 and a yellow on top for 1, totaling 3. So there it is, guys. Heroes of Arceus in a nutshell. Super easy to learn, super easy to set up, and super, super fun. It doesn't get any simpler, easier, or faster than this. Let's head back to the PC. So there it is, guys. Like I said, that is Heroes of Arceus in a nutshell. We did not get a chance to go over. Like, if you just look around me, there is quite a lot to the world of Arceus that we didn't get to cover. And there is a lot more than what is the bare bones that you guys saw. But hopefully off what you guys saw, you're able to see that Heroes of Arceus is going to be one of the easiest games to learn, easiest games to pick up, easiest games to set up, as well as clean up, which is big when it comes to tabletop miniature games. Some of those things take hours to set up, hours to pick up. This is going to be quick, easy, simple, fast, but a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you want to see a more in-depth look at Heroes of Arceus, head over to the Heroes of Arceus YouTube channel, where I will be uploading more in-depth looks at gameplay, the heroes themselves, their ultimates and abilities, as well as the world of Arceus, what this board has to offer, because there is a lot more strategy to the game than I was able to showcase in that short video. But again, thank you guys for your time, and I welcome any and all feedback.